Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now here I am with another classic monster movie review. Now take a look at another Frankenstein sequel. Now here I am with a review for The Ghost of Frankenstein. Oh my gosh, this really wasn't that good. Oh gosh, I just really could not get into this at all. I just really didn't see anything interesting about this. I've been seeing what some critics have been saying about this movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, somebody said a true waste of time. Which, yeah, this movie really did seem like a waste of time because, this movie just really had a really useless plot to it. Like, why did they, like, take this direction for a Frankenstein movie? This really just seemed like really, like, useless, to be honest. And there's another one that said, the thought that he may yet return for further adventures with his body and Lugosi's sconce fills us with mortal terror. That is the most fearful prospect which the picture manages to convey. Which, yeah, there's that, and yeah, just seeing like what other critics have said about it, and yeah, it really does come off like that. This really, I didn't really find anything interesting about this, and I really just didn't like this film. Yeah, first off, of course, like I said in my last Frankenstein movie review, that for this one, but Boris Karloff didn't reprise the role for the monster. Like, from here on out, he didn't reprise the role of the monster anymore. In this film, the monster is played by Lon Chaney Jr., and I really didn't like Lon Chaney Jr. as the monster. Yeah, that's one thing with him, like, replacing Boris Karloff. That right there is, like, my one bitter, like, why I just didn't like it, because, it just feels, like, really bitter to just, like, have someone else playing the monster after Boris Karloff really just had a legendary performance with it, and just, yeah, it's just, like, that is just, like, one aspect that really just makes it, like, not very good, and why I don't like it, because another person's playing it. And plus, just Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance as the monster, it just seems so lazy. Like, for most of this film, he just, like, has the look of, like, a blank expression on his face. Like, for most of the film, he's just, like, and really, that's all he really does. Like, he just has that look on his face for pretty much all of this. Like, he doesn't, like, really give out any, like, emotions or expressions or anything. Boris Karloff did, like, give some facial expression with the monster, especially, like, in The Bride of Frankenstein, like, when he was talking and stuff, and just going through more of, like, a character arc. Like, yeah, Boris Karloff actually did give the monster some, like, expressions and stuff, and actually did, like, have, like, some feelings. And here, this one, Lon Chaney Jr. he's just, like, really, like, the performance is just, like, really lazy. Just, like, pretty much all this movie, he just has that blank expression on his face and has, like, no feeling throughout anything. Like, watching the monster in this film just kind of just feels like we're watching a statue in this movie move. As if they're just, like, moving a statue to perform as the monster. It really just does come off like that, and yeah, Lon Chaney Jr., like, he was great as the Wolfman, but he's not good as the monster. He's not good at all. Yeah, but, yeah, of course, like, this would only get worse, like, in the next movie, which I will get to when I talk about that later on. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that one, don't you worry. Yeah, and, yeah, pretty much, like, it's an entirely different cast in this film than the previous film. In this one, rather than, like, Baron Frankenstein back, in this one, like, the Frankenstein doctor is, like, one of Henry Frankenstein's other sons, Ludwig, and, yeah, it's that, and just his motivation and stuff, like, what he does in this film, it just is really weak. Like, how did this come about? The premise of this film, really, is that, like, Arthur Ludwig Frankenstein, after he does, like, find the monster and stuff, and he then like decides that he wants to like dissect the monster and stuff and like implant like a new brain in the monster and stuff. And yeah, it just like is really like weird, and it just really doesn't make a lot of sense. Just I mean, how did he even come to this conclusion? How did he even decide he wanted to do this? I mean, when did we ever get anything like this in any of the previous films? Also the Frankenstein films. I mean, yeah, the first two really had a connecting story that really like were nothing like this. And even like the like Son of Frankenstein, like it really didn't have anything like this either. So yeah, it really is like nothing. And also in this film, like we do have like Bela Lugosi, like he's like the only returning actor for this film to reprise his role of Igor. And yeah, it basically does like kind of continue what happened between like Igor and the monster in the previous film. Like in this film, of course, like Igor basically is able to like control the monster and stuff. And but yeah, eventually like the monster just eventually stops listening to Igor and stuff, and then yeah, it just like it really doesn't get anywhere, to be honest. Like it just basically is just a useless continuation, really. And yeah, really like nothing about this film is really that interesting, to be honest. I mean, it just really is just a weird premise and just a different turn, and yeah, it really doesn't work out very well, I don't think. Yeah, and plus this also is like a really like pretty short film. I mean, this is like a really short. I mean, this is like just a little over an hour. Like this is just like an hour and 7 minutes. So yeah, this is like a pretty short film. But yeah, I guess I am like glad that it is so short, and it really doesn't like go on forever like Son of Frankenstein did. It was like that thing was like 100 minutes. You know, I'm glad that they like really kept it short, and considering like the really like weird dumb plot for this film, yeah, I am glad that it really doesn't go too long. So I guess that is a positive of it. But yeah, still, like, the film just really isn't very good. I would probably give this, I don't know, probably like 1.75 stars out of 4. Yeah, it just really is, like, not a very good film. I really do not recommend this. And especially, like, with Boris Karloff gone, yeah, Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance just, yeah, I don't really recommend this at all. Alright, so, yeah, let me just get right into it. Probably just gonna skim through it pretty fast because, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to talk about with this film. Alright, so basically in this film, like, all the, pretty much the residents of, like, Frankenstein's village, they're, like, feeling that they're, like, under a curse, and they're, like, blaming the monster for all their troubles they've gone through. And then, yeah, the mayor then approves of Frankenstein's castle to be destroyed. But then, like, it shows, like, Igor, or is also, like, in the castle, and he eventually ends up, like, finding the monster, and he's now released from the tomb by all the, like, explosions caused by trying to destroy the castle. And, yeah, the monster ended up, like, being, like, weakened after, like, he was exposed to the sulfur, but it also preserved him, and then yeah, the monster and Igor then just ended up like fleeing the castle, and then the monster just ended up getting struck by like a lightning bolt, and that pretty much like yeah, yeah, he just like basically was re-energized and stuff, and then yeah, Igor then decided to find like Ludwig, one of Henry Frankenstein's other sons, to try to help the monster like regaining his strength. And yeah, in the village of in Sierra, is that how it's said? It's shown that like Ludwig Frankenstein, he's a doctor that really does have some successful practice, and he also has like two assistants with him, Dr. Kettering and Dr. Bulmer. Is that how it's said? Yeah, yeah. Bulmer used to actually be a teacher of Ludwig, but yeah, he is like now an assistant for Ludwig. Yeah. And then once Igor and the monster arrived at Messiera, the monster then ended up like meeting a girl who he ended up befriending. So I guess this was like kind of an homage to the first film when the monster did like meet that girl in the first film. So yeah, I guess that is like one homage that this film does pay to the original. So yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. And yeah, the girl showed the monster that she had like a ball that was stuck on top of a roof, And then, yeah, the monster carried her up onto the rooftop to retrieve her ball. But yeah, there were some villagers that thought the monster was like trying to like kidnap the girl or trying to harm her. So they like tried to stop the monster, but the monster just ended up like killing two of the villagers. And even then, like the way Lon Chaney Jr. just does it, it just seems very lazy. It was just like he barely even hit the villagers at all, and yeah, it was just like really lazy. Like this was just part of how lazy Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance was in this film. So yeah, and after the monster like helped the girl retrieve her ball, her father then saw it, and like people were gonna shoot at the monster, but the father stopped them and just let the monster bring her down. But once he did, then the monster then just ended up being captured by the police, and the father just took the girl away. Yeah. And yeah, the monster then was just then like placed in like record, and then like the monster just was ended up being restrained, and then there was a hearing conducted to about the murders of the villages, and then like Ludwig was then asked by like a town prosecutor or Eric if like he would examine the giant, and then yeah, Igor then like told Ludwig that the giant that was captured was the monster, and then yeah, he just then was like talking to Ludwig about healing the monster, and then like after Ludwig like refused to do that, Igor then just threatened to reveal all of the ancestry of Ludwig's family to all the villagers. Yeah, and then that's when Ludwig then like just ended up agreeing. Yeah, and then like during the hearing, like Ludwig then like arrived, and then like after he denied he recognized the monster, the monster then just ended up like breaking free. And yeah, another part of like Lon Chaney Jr.'s lazy performance in this film is that even like during this rage, like he didn't really do like the usual roars Boris Karloff did. He didn't like go "Arr, arr." Instead, he just like he didn't do any of that, and he was just like just hitting stuff and throwing stuff around and stuff. So yeah, I mean, why was Lon Chaney Jr. Doing this type of performance? Why couldn't he actually have had all of Boris Karloff's mannerisms and personality from the previous films in this film as with his performance? I just don't see that at all. Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, Igor then eventually ended up like leading the monster away. And then eventually, like, Ludwig's daughter Elsa, like, found the family journals, and then she ended up, like, learning the story of the monsters. And then, like, Igor and the monster then appeared at the window, and then they broke into Ludwig's lab, and then the monster ended up killing one of the doctors. He killed Dr. Kettering. Yeah, yeah. And the monster then, like, went after Elsa, but then Ludwig then just, like, ended up knocking out the monster with gas. Yeah. And then Ludwig then like he then like tried to like ask Dr. Balmer to help him dissect the monster, but yeah, Balmer then just felt that that would be murder and refused to help. Oh, and then like Ludwig then like as he was studying the journals, he then like had a visit from the ghost of his father, and then he was just told to supply the monster with a good brain, which is really weird, yeah. And then yeah, Ludwig then and just like wanted Balmer and Igor to uh put the Dr. Kettering's brain into the monster skull. That was his plan, really. Yeah. And but Igor wanted Ludwig to use like Igor's own brain in the monster, but due to like Igor's nature, Ludwig just refused to do that. Yeah, and then like also like wanted her father to stop with this crazy experiment, but he then just like ended up but like he just refused to do that, and yeah, he had the plans to really operate on the monster as soon as possible. Yeah, and then yeah, a bit later on, like the police then arrived at Ludwig's house, and then like they were trying to like search for the monster, and they found the secret room the monster was being kept in, but Igor and the monster weren't there, and they then fled. And then later on, the monster then just like ended up abducting the girl he met earlier, and then like he later on was like trying to like convey to Ludwig and also that he wants the girl's brain to be placed in him. The girl didn't want it, and then yeah, the monster then just ended up like he was reluctant, but he then ended up like giving the girl to Ludwig and Elsa. And then later on, Ludwig then ended up performing the surgery, but then like it was then revealed that Balmer had actually replaced Kettering's brain with Igor's, then because yeah, Igor was like convincing Balmer that he really shouldn't be subordinate to Ludwig, and he promised to help Balmer if he agreed to like switch out the brains, which he did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then eventually like the father of the girl then just like told all his neighbors that his daughter was captured by the monster and Ludwig was actually behind it. And so then, and yeah, the villagers then just ended up like storming to Ludwig's home. Yeah, and then once the surgery was completed, Ludwig then was then just like showing the monster to Eric. But then like once the monster rise, it was then like revealed that it was Igor's brain in the monster after the monster then like was speaking with Igor's voice. Yeah. And then and yeah, after like the villagers were just storming the house, then the monster then just had Volmar fill the house up with gas to kill everyone. Yeah, and Ludwig was like trying to stop it, but yeah, the monster then just like was repelling the attack, and then he ended up like mortally wounding Ludwig. Yeah, but then all of a sudden the monster ended up like going blind, and then Ludwig was then just explaining that because of the incompatibility between the blood types of Igor and the monster that caused the blindness. Yeah. And then, like, the monster then just ended up, like, feeling betrayed, and then he ended up throwing Balmer in onto the apparatus, and then that caused him to be electrocuted, and then, but that also, like, inadvertently ended up, like, setting fire to the home, and yeah, the monster then was just, like, trapped inside of the home, and then, yeah, he ended up, like, burning down also, but yeah, Eric and Elsa were able to escape, and yeah, it just then showed them, like, walking off into the sunlight, and yeah, that's how the film ended. So yeah, this film really did have like a really weird, unusual plot, and it really didn't work. Lon Chaney Jr. just not a very good performance of the monster. Yeah, just yeah, this film just really didn't work out. And plus, yeah, just yeah, I just don't know what else to say about it. So yeah, I really didn't like this one very much, and yeah, like I said, I don't recommend this one to be honest. So, yeah, like I said, 1.75 stars out of 4. Really, like, not very good of a Frankenstein movie. And yeah, and like I said, it would only get worse. But yeah, this would also be, like, the last film that was, like, Frankenstein's, like, the monster was in, like, a solo capacity, films. Yeah, after this, like, all the other films featuring him would, like, be, like, in, like, crossover movies with other monsters, like with the Wolfman and with Dracula, Abbott and Costello. Yeah, just movies like that. So, yeah, now next up I'm gonna be like talking about a couple of those. Like for my next couple of reviews, I'll be reviewing like a couple of the crossover movies, with like the monster with these other these movie monsters that I've talked about before. Alright, so yeah, that's gonna be up next. Like, my next couple of reviews will be of those crossover movies. So, yeah, those will be up next. But, yeah, anyway. Alright, so that does it for my review of The Ghost of Frankenstein. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.